As we enter the first decade of November 2025, the cosmos begins to stir with a quiet intensity. And for you, Cancer, this is a time of emotional recalibration and financial awakening. The planetary alignments in this window are subtle but powerful, and they're setting the stage for deeper transformations later in the month. Let's break down what's happening in the sky and how it's shaping your inner world. Chapter 1. November 1st to 10th. Emotional grounding and financial awareness. The most defining moment of this decade is the full moon in Taurus on November 5th. Taurus rules your 11th house, the domain of long-term goals, social networks, and collective ideals. Full moons are culminations, revelations, and emotional peaks. This lunation will illuminate the tension between your personal values and the expectations of the groups you belong to. You may feel a strong urge to pull back from social obligations that no longer align with your emotional truth. Taurus is an earth sign, and its influence here brings a grounding energy to your emotional landscape. It encourages you to seek stability, not just in your finances but in your emotional investments. You'll feel a pull towards simplifying your commitments and focusing on what truly nourishes you. This is not a time for expansion, it's a time for refinement. The moon's trine to Pluto in Aquarius adds a layer of psychological depth. Pluto is beginning its long transit through your 8th house, and this full moon may trigger early insights into how power, trust, and shared resources are evolving in your life. You may begin to sense the need to redefine boundaries, not just with others but within yourself. Just days before the full moon, Venus in Libra squares Jupiter in Cancer. This aspect is indulgent, expansive, and emotionally charged. Venus in Libra wants harmony, beauty, and connection, but Jupiter in your sign amplifies everything it touches. You may feel emotionally overstimulated, especially in matters of love, money, and self-worth. This square can lead to overpromising, overspending, or overextending yourself in relationships. But it also offers a mirror. Where are you seeking validation outside yourself? Where are you giving too much in hopes of receiving love or approval? The tension between Venus and Jupiter will expose these patterns, and the full moon will help you release them. This is a moment to recalibrate your emotional generosity. Cancer is a sign that gives deeply, but this transit reminds you that giving must be balanced with receiving. Watch for emotional inflation, the tendency to make things bigger than they are. Stay grounded, stay clear, and let the full moon guide you back to center. The moon begins the month in Pisces, then moves into Aries. These transits activate your 9th and 10th houses, respectively, the realms of belief systems and public identity. The Pisces moon enhances your intuition and spiritual sensitivity. You may feel drawn to explore metaphysical ideas or question the deeper meaning behind your current path. As the moon shifts into Aries, the energy becomes more assertive. Aries rules your 10th house of career and reputation, and this transit may spark a desire to take bold action in your professional life. However, with the full moon approaching, it's wise to pause and reflect before making any major moves. The Aries moon can be impulsive, but Cancer thrives on emotional clarity. Let the moon's journey help you discern what's worth pursuing and what's simply a fleeting urge. Throughout this decade, Mercury continues its transit through Scorpio, activating your 5th house of creativity, romance, and self-expression. Scorpio is intense, investigative, and emotionally penetrating. Mercury here sharpens your mental focus and deepens your emotional intelligence. You may find yourself analyzing your creative impulses or questioning the authenticity of your romantic connections. This is a powerful time for inner dialogue. Mercury in Scorpio invites you to speak your truth, not loudly but with precision. You may feel compelled to write, journal, or have deep conversations that reveal hidden layers of your psyche. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and when Mercury dives into Scorpio's waters, your emotional language becomes more potent. Use this transit to articulate what you've been feeling but couldn't quite name. Mars continues its transit through Leo, activating your 2nd house of values, income, and self-worth. Mars in Leo is bold, expressive, and driven by pride. In this placement, it pushes you to assert your value, not just financially but emotionally. You may feel a growing desire to be recognized for your contributions, especially in work or creative projects. However, Mars in Leo can also trigger ego clashes. Be mindful of how you assert yourself. Are you demanding recognition or are you standing in your worth? The difference is subtle but significant. This transit supports confident action, but only when it's rooted in authenticity. Cancer's strength lies in emotional depth. Let that be your foundation as you navigate Mars's fiery influence. The first decade of November is a time of emotional refinement, financial awareness, and subtle shifts in your inner landscape. The full moon in Taurus is the anchor. It brings clarity, closure, and a chance to realign with your values. Venus and Jupiter challenge you to examine your emotional patterns, while Mercury and Mars offer tools for deeper understanding and assertive action. This is not a loud chapter, but it's a meaningful one. The energies are introspective, grounding, and quietly transformative. Cancer thrives in emotional truth, and this window offers a chance to reclaim it. Listen closely to what your heart is telling you. The cosmos is whispering, and it's speaking your language. Chapter 2, November 11th to 20th, Inner Transformation and Relationship Shifts. The sun continues its journey through Scorpio, illuminating your fifth house of self-expression, romance, and emotional risk. Scorpio is a sign of depth, secrecy, and psychological intensity. When its solar light shines on your fifth house, it doesn't just energize your creativity, it exposes the emotional undercurrents behind it. You may feel a surge of passion, but it won't be light-hearted. Scorpio demands authenticity. Superficial connections or performative expressions won't satisfy you now. You're being called to create from your emotional truth, to love with vulnerability, and to express yourself without filters. This transit may stir old emotional wounds tied to rejection, abandonment, or creative suppression, not to punish you but to liberate you. The fifth house also governs romantic dynamics, and Scorpio's influence here can bring magnetic attraction or intense emotional entanglements. You may find yourself drawn to someone who mirrors your shadow, or you may confront the ways you've hidden your desires to maintain emotional safety. Either way, this is a time to reclaim your emotional sovereignty. Pluto's ongoing transit through Aquarius is one of the most significant long-term shifts for Cancer. Aquarius rules your 8th house, the domain of intimacy, shared resources, psychological depth, and transformation. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth, and its presence here initiates a multi-year process of emotional excavation. During this decade, Pluto begins to stir the deeper layers of your psyche. You may not see dramatic external changes yet, but internally something is shifting. You're being asked to confront your relationship with control, trust, and emotional merging. Where have you given away your power in exchange for security? Or have you feared vulnerability because it felt unsafe? Pluto in Aquarius also challenges outdated emotional contracts. You may begin to sense that certain relationships, romantic, financial, or familial, are built on unsustainable foundations. This isn't about blame, it's about evolution. Pluto doesn't destroy what's healthy, it purifies what's toxic. And in the 8th house, that purification begins with emotional honesty. This transit also affects your financial entanglements. Shared resources, debts, inheritances, and energetic exchanges come under scrutiny. You may feel compelled to renegotiate agreements or reclaim autonomy in areas where you felt dependent. The key here is empowerment, not control but conscious choice. Between November 14th and 16th, the moon moves through Gemini and then enters Cancer. These transits are emotionally charged for you, especially as the moon returns to your sign. Gemini activates your 12th house, the realm of the subconscious, dreams, and hidden emotions. You may feel mentally scattered or emotionally porous during this time. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. It's revealing what you've been avoiding. When the moon enters Cancer, your emotional sensitivity peaks. This is your lunar homecoming, a moment of deep self-connection. You may feel more protective, nostalgic, or introspective. Use this transit to nurture yourself not just physically but emotionally. The moon in Cancer amplifies your intuitive intelligence. Trust it. Let it guide you toward what feels emotionally safe and spiritually aligned. This lunar phase also acts as a mirror for the Scorpio sun. The tension between the moon's need for comfort and the sun's push for transformation creates a powerful emotional polarity. You may feel torn between staying in familiar emotional patterns and stepping into the unknown. The answer lies in integration, honoring your emotional needs while allowing growth. Mercury continues its transit through Scorpio, sharpening your mental focus and deepening your emotional communication. In your 5th house, this placement encourages you to speak from the heart, but with precision. You may find yourself drawn to emotionally intense conversations, especially around creativity, romance, or personal expression. This is a potent time for journaling, writing, or any form of emotional articulation. Mercury in Scorpio doesn't tolerate superficiality. It wants truth even if it's uncomfortable. You may uncover hidden motivations behind your creative impulses or recognize emotional patterns that have shaped your romantic choices. This transit also enhances your ability to read between the lines. You'll notice what's unsaid, what's implied, and what's emotionally charged. Use this insight wisely. Scorpio's mental energy can be penetrating, but it must be tempered with compassion. Speak your truth but don't weaponize it. Cancer's emotional wisdom is your anchor. Let it guide your words. Venus enters Sagittarius mid-month, activating your 6th house of routines, health, and service. This shift brings a more adventurous, expansive energy to your daily life. You may feel inspired to explore new wellness practices, redefine your work-life balance, or seek emotional fulfillment through acts of service. Sagittarius is a sign of exploration, and Venus here encourages you to expand your emotional values. What does love look like in your daily life? How do you nurture yourself through routine? This transit invites you to infuse your habits with meaning, not just efficiency. You may also feel drawn to connect with people who challenge your worldview or inspire personal growth. However, Venus in Sagittarius can be restless. In the 6th house, this may manifest as a desire to escape mundane responsibilities or romanticize your obligations. Stay grounded. Use this transit to elevate your routines, not abandon them. Emotional fulfillment comes from integration, not avoidance. The 2nd decade of November is a crucible for Cancer. The Scorpio Sun and Mercury demand emotional truth. Pluto begins its slow transformation of your inner world. The Moon's journey through Gemini and Cancer reveals hidden emotional patterns. And Venus in Sagittarius invites you to expand your values through daily practice. This is not a passive period. It's a time of emotional confrontation, psychological depth, and relational recalibration. You're being asked to shed what no longer serves your emotional evolution, and to do so with courage, clarity, and compassion. Cancer, your gift is emotional intelligence. This chapter asks you to use it not just to comfort others, but to transform yourself. The cosmos is not punishing you, it's preparing you. What you release now will create space for the emotional freedom you've been craving. Chapter 3. November 21st to 30th. Renewal, Purpose, and Spiritual Insight. Cancer, as we enter the final stretch of November 2025, the celestial tides begin to shift. The intensity of Scorpio season gives way to the expansive fire of Sagittarius, and with it comes a call to realign your daily life with your deeper purpose. This decade is about integration, taking the emotional revelations of the past weeks and weaving them into your routines, your health, and your spiritual path. The cosmos is offering you a moment of clarity, but only if you're willing to listen. The most pivotal shift in this period is the Sun's entrance into Sagittarius on November 22nd. This transition activates your 6th house, the realm of daily habits, health, service, and discipline. After weeks of emotional excavation under Scorpio's influence, Sagittarius brings a breath of fresh air. But this isn't escapism, it's expansion through structure. Sagittarius is a sign of truth-seeking, and in your 6th house it asks, are your daily choices aligned with your higher beliefs? Are your routines nourishing your emotional body, or are they draining it? This solar transit encourages you to examine your lifestyle through a philosophical lens. It's not just about productivity, it's about purpose. You may feel a surge of motivation to improve your health, refine your work habits, or explore new ways of being useful to others. But Sagittarius doesn't settle for surface-level fixes. It wants meaning. This is a time to infuse your routines with spiritual intention. Whether through mindfulness, ritual, or conscious service, you're being asked to elevate the mundane into the sacred. Although the official shift of the lunar nodes into the Pisces/Virgo axis won't occur until January 2026, the energetic preview begins now. For Cancer, this nodal transition is significant. Pisces will activate your 9th house of higher wisdom, while Virgo touches your 3rd house of communication and learning. The axis between these two signs will shape your spiritual and intellectual evolution over the coming year and a half. During this preview, you may begin to feel a subtle pull towards spiritual exploration, philosophical inquiry, or intuitive learning. The Pisces South Node will encourage you to release rigid mental frameworks and embrace emotional intelligence. The Virgo North Node will challenge you to refine your thinking, articulate your beliefs, and ground your insights in practical application. This nodal shift will redefine how you learn, teach, and communicate. You may begin to question the information you consume, the conversations you engage in, and the beliefs you've inherited. The cosmos is preparing you to become a vessel of wisdom, but first it must clear the clutter. From November 27th to 30th, the moon moves through Virgo and Libra, activating your 3rd and 4th houses. The Virgo moon sharpens your focus, enhances your analytical abilities, and encourages emotional organization. You may feel compelled to clean, sort, or clarify, not just physically but emotionally. This is a time to make sense of what you felt, to translate intuition into language. As the moon enters Libra, the energy softens. Libra rules your 4th house of home, roots, and emotional foundation. This transit invites you to harmonize your inner world. You may feel a desire to reconnect with your emotional center, to restore balance in your relationships, or to beautify your personal space. The Libra moon is diplomatic, but for Cancer, it's also deeply restorative. These lunar transits offer a bridge between the mental and emotional realms. Virgo helps you process, Libra helps you soothe. Together, they prepare you for the spiritual insights that Sagittarius season will continue to unfold. Mercury continues its journey through Scorpio until late November, maintaining its influence over your 5th house. This placement keeps your thoughts emotionally charged and creatively focused. You may still be processing romantic or expressive revelations from earlier in the month. Use this time to articulate your truth with clarity and depth. Mars remains in Leo, energizing your 2nd house of values and resources. This transit continues to push you toward asserting your worth, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. You may feel a growing desire to invest in yourself, to claim your value, or to protect what you've built. Mars in Leo is proud, but for Cancer, it must be tempered with emotional wisdom. Assertiveness is powerful when it's rooted in self-respect. Together, Mercury and Mars offer a final push toward integration. Mercury helps you speak your truth, Mars helps you act on it. As the month closes, you're being asked to align your thoughts, words, and actions with your emotional integrity. The final decade of November is a turning point. The sun's shift into Sagittarius opens the door to purposeful living. The lunar nodes begin to whisper of spiritual evolution. The moon's transits through Virgo and Libra help you process and harmonize. And Mercury and Mars offer tools for clarity and action. This is a time of renewal, not through dramatic change but through conscious alignment. Cancer, you've journeyed through emotional depths this month. Now the cosmos invites you to rise, to integrate, and to live from your truth. The path ahead is expansive, but only if you walk it with intention. You are not the same person you were at the start of November. You've shed layers, confronted shadows, and reclaimed pieces of yourself. Now you begin again with clarity, with purpose, and with the quiet power of emotional wisdom.